So I've done a lot of videos on all the parts that I've made for this Sugar Bear chopper with the 74 iron head motor. Today I want to talk about the Sugar Bear front end itself. This is the motivating part behind this build. And I thought I'd share what I know about Sugar Bear and his rockers and what makes them different than everything else and why they are so iconic. Before we go into that, you probably need to know who Sugar Bear is. An amazing guy. He was actually born in Missouri, and then in the early 50s, his family moved out to Los Angeles for better opportunities and a better life. Sugar Bear was a track star. He loved to run, and he got a scholarship to UCLA. And upon his graduation in mathematics, that's pretty important. He was a math whiz. He said that he would have gone into professional running if that was a possibility, but it wasn't. So he took a job as a juvenile probation officer in a forestry camp. And at that time, Sugar Crisp cereal was really big on TV commercials, and they had a real snappy jingle about,
"Oh, I can't get enough of that Sugar Crisp, Sugar
Got
Crisp,
a nice
Sugar
singing
Crisp."
voice, Sugar.
about, can't wait to get me some of them sugar smacks. I remember it. And all the kids at the camp were singing it, and Sugar Bear would step in and he'd tell the kids to be quiet, and they just started calling him Sugar Bear, and the name stuck. So that's where he got the name from. In 1969, in an article that I read, an interview, he's done very few interviews, he was on the freeway in LA and saw an old stretched out chopper with a girl on the back of the bike. They passed him in this car, and when they passed him, the passenger girl hit him with the peace sign. And that just got him into choppers. And he went right out and bought the new Honda 750, and he began to make a custom chopper out of it. He actually built the front end for that Honda, and at the time, all of the components on the other, they were called Springer front ends, were made out of tubing, and you would get the bouncing or the hopping going down the freeway. And Sugar Bear's idea and one of his main design is that everything is made out of solid bar stock. He uses 1081 steel, which is a low carbon content, but it is a carbon steel material. So therefore, these are hard face chromed. He also made all of his other components out of solid plate. And he learned to machine every component himself in-house, other than the springs, which were sourced locally in LA. In 1972, well, let's back up just one. So he knew that he wanted to produce front ends, but he didn't want to produce them until he had perfected the design. He was a perfectionist. So in 1971, he had perfected his design, and he opened up his own shop where he started making the Sugar Bear front ends. In 72, he appeared on the cover of a motorcycle magazine. that motorcycle magazine got more hate mail for having an African American on the cover. And back in those times, it just wasn't what it is today. And unfortunately, the black builders did not get the credit that they deserved. To enhance on that story, we can back up to, 69, 70 time frame in LA, where Sugar Bear was. He became friends with a couple of revolutionary guys, one of them being Ben Hardy. Ben Hardy was the chopper king in LA. He was also a black individual. And again, got no notoriety, got no publications, support, because he was black. And that's just how it was. Ben Hardy is tied to a gentleman named Clifford Vaughs. Clifford Vaughs goes back to the 60s, early 60s in LA. And he was a bike enthusiast. He also was involved with the movie Easy Rider. Clifford Vaughs is a unique individual. He actually broke the color barrier lines at ABC television. He sued them to become a cameraman and won. He later on interviewed Peter Fonda, I believe like in late 60s, in 67. And they realized that they had a passion and a love for motorcycles, which was beyond their interview purposes. And Peter Fonda introduced Clifford Vaughs to Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper had an idea for a movie. He described it as a Western with motorcycles. So Dennis Hopper hires Clifford Vaughs to design the two iconic bikes in Easy Rider, which I laugh because Clifford Vaughs also says he came up with the name of the movie Easy Riders. So he actually designed Captain America and Billy Bob bike. Towards the end of the movie, Peter Fonda ran out of money, and I believe it was Columbia Pictures that stepped in to finish the movie. In the last couple of scenes of the movies, they even use stunt riders. It's not Dennis Hopper or Peter Fonda, because they weren't getting paid anymore. And Columbia brought in their own staff, and Clifford Vaughs never got credit in the credits of the movie because of Columbia's involvement in wrapping up production. Clifford Vaughs and Benny Hardy, were good friends, and Clifford Vaughs contracted Benny Hardy to actually build the bikes. Benny Hardy is another African American out of LA that got no notoriety or publications. It wasn't until 2009 when on the Discovery Channel, Jesse James had a documentary on the history of choppers. When all this was cleared up, Cliff Vaughs, Benny Hardy, and Sugar Bear finally publicly got their notoriety and their credits for the work that they had done in the industry. And it wasn't until the mid-90s that Sugar Bear was on the cover of Easy Rider magazine. So these guys went through some tough times. It's my understanding that Benny Hardy told Sugar Bear to not expect any accolades, any notoriety, because he's a black man, but to just keep your head down, build something of quality, build it one at a time, and build it yourself. And that's exactly what Sugar Bear has done. The gentleman is in his 80s. He's still building front ends. I don't think he's taking any more orders. But all this front ends from the beginning have been hand machined, solid 1081 bar stock, solid plate material. Everything is machined in-house. And it's just quality. Nothing has changed. The only thing in design that has changed is in the late 70s, early 80s. Don't know why, but guys wanted to start riding with front brakes on these, so they did do a little recalibration of the balance to allow for the installation of a front brake. I'm not doing a front brake on mine. He has 4 different rockers. This is, I think, style D or 4, which to me is the most iconic. He never put any marks on his forks, so you don't know the year of them, but nothing has changed. So this could be 40, 50-year-old front end. I am going to hand clean this and polish it. And I'm going to use 2 very high-tech methods to do so. And we're going to see which works best. I literally have done nothing to this front end. But I'll clean it first. Just to get all the loose crap off of it. And then my high-tech solutions are going to be vinegar and Coke as the wetting agents. And I will use quad-aught steel wool and aluminum foil. And we'll see which one of those methods does it best. But I think the history and the man, and even Clifford, Vaughs, and Benny are appropriate. The story needs to be told. These guys were revolutionaries. Didn't get the accolades that they deserved at the time. So if I've got a chance to help tell and spread their story, I'm going to do it.